We are definitely going to take our Zoom meeting to the next level today. So really excited about the things that Matt Wyatt has in store for us, and I love the energy that he's kicking things off with. We might have to start some of our meetings at Nick's companies that way on Zoom. Love that introduction. So I'm Matthew Nix. I'm president of Nix Companies and the current chairperson for Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance. So I'll be making the opening remarks here and kicking things off to Matt. I want to thank our sponsors, Anchor Industries, Berry Global, Jasper Engines, George Cook & Sons, Old National Bank, and Toyota. We certainly couldn't pull off all these great events that we do and everything we do as an organization without our sponsors. So thanks to them. The purpose statement for Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance is to work collaboratively to create a vibrant and attractive manufacturing environment in Southwest Indiana. That results in improved revenue and profitability and an increase in manufacturing sector jobs. Here's our steering committee. I won't list each of these people, but just want to thank everybody for all their commitment and everything our committee does to keep this organization moving forward. Just a few updates on some events coming up. For those of you that are involved in our peer groups, our lean peer group is going to meet on June 9th, and our CFO peer group is going to meet on June 21st. If you're not involved in a peer group and you'd like to get involved, please reach out to us. You can contact Dorothy Pergola with EREP or reach out to myself. I'll be happy to get you in touch with the appropriate people. So these peer groups meet periodically and come together to share best practices and can dive a little deeper into certain topics. So, and then our next big event for Q3 is on August 17th, and it is Industry 4.0, revolutionizing your business. So really interesting topic. Looking forward to seeing what's to come there. All right, I want to introduce Tara Barney. She's going to talk to us briefly. Tara was most recently the CEO of the Chamber, which is the organization that we have historically been affiliated with, Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance. And Tara is now the co-CEO of the new organization through the new merger, Evansville Regional Economic Partnership, also known as EREP. And Tara is going to talk to us just briefly this morning about what that merger means for us as an organization, TSMA. So I'll kick it over to Tara.
Thank you, Matthew. I do appreciate just a minute this morning to say a few words about the merger because it's been quite intentional. We think it's a great move for the region. It allows us to take the impact and the collection of businesses that have associated under the Chamber banner and to really leverage their private sector expertise and capability along with the work of the Economic Development Coalition, which is in the business of growing the economy in our market. So we have very aligned purposes. And so the merger has been, I think, a key step for our region and one that will have great impact going forward. But I did want to take just a second to speak to all of you because manufacturing is Indiana's #1 business. It's what we all are supported by the work of manufacturing. So the Tri-State Manufacturing Alliance is a huge enabler of success, and we want to make sure that you hear loud and clear from me that your priorities are our priorities. When we put together our public policy agenda, we're thinking about what you need. We're paying attention to location issues. We want to make sure we're as current as we can be on what's going on with any supply chain challenges you have. I know that if I asked you your #1 pinch point, you would probably all say talent. So that is not lost on us, and it's a high priority of this new unified organization. So we do want to make sure that as we're getting stood up under this new banner, you know that the chamber still exists. We are incredibly committed to the work of the business and civic community as a region. That said, those of you that are used to working with the Growth Alliance, if you're based in Vanderburgh County, they are a partner with us now. And so those services are still very much available to you. Just give you a quick example. If you are one of the businesses that's looking at the American Recovery Act grants or programs that are out there and you need technical assistance, get in touch with us. We'll get you appropriately connected and do all we can to help you with that. Similarly, if you have any other business expansion or marketing needs, the Small Business Development Center is embedded within the economic partnership now. One thing that I wanted to call to your attention, I'm speaking to as large an audience as we typically have on any Zoom call, so congratulations for giving time to this conversation today. Earlier last week, last Tuesday, we hosted a diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation. Tom Salmon kicked it off. Both Barry and AstraZeneca took time to share with the business community the importance of building that culture into their organization for both internal cultural success, but also for profitability success. And so I want you to be fully aware that that series is available to you. We've put the link in the chat box, so you can take a look at that at your convenience. And we will be doing a second conversation really about what the landscape is like in the state of Indiana as far as equity and inclusion opportunities are concerned. And we're going to host that event on July 14th. It'll be a morning event at 7:30. So I encourage you to keep an eye out for that and to join us in that conversation. And that's really all I have to share today, but I wanted just a moment of your time to acknowledge that the work of Tri-State Manufacturing Alliance is a huge partner in the potential success of this new merged organization. So thanks for letting me have a moment, Matthew. I appreciate it. And I look forward to today's event. I got to say, if you don't have your camera on, you should turn it on, because I think everyone that's visible can see each other dancing around here. So look forward to it. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Tara. And I do just want to say real briefly that just with my time involved with the Chamber and the Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance, that Tara is as in tune with manufacturing as any leader that I've seen in her role. So really, we're blessed to have her. She when she talks about manufacturing being the heart of our economy, she means that and believes that. I can tell that through all my conversations with her. So I appreciate her commitment to Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance and all the businesses, all the manufacturing businesses in our area.
Thank you,
sir. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, Matt Wyatt. He's the co-founding partner of Chapman & Co. Leadership Institute. Do we have another slide with his bio on it? No, we do not. My apologies.
No, we're going to save some time. It's better this way.
Well, hey, I know a little bit of your background, so I can wing it here.
Let's do it.
Matt's got a background in the military. He also spent time advising in the Pentagon, I believe, possibly for the Secretary of State, or yeah, okay. He's done some really interesting things. He's from Southern California originally, and like it says here, Matt co-founded the Leadership Institute with the Barry Whaley-Miller organization, and I'd like to add that I recently read, at the advice of our HR manager, I read Everybody Matters, which Bob Chapman wrote, and it was really impactful for me, and subsequently reached out to someone in Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance who connected me with Matt. So again, the value of this organization with the networking, and within a couple emails, I was able to connect with Matt and talk to him about ways in which we could engage with them in our organization. So really excited to have Matt with us today, and a really important topic here that I'm passionate about. So I'll turn it over to him, and he can fill in any gaps I left out that are relevant in the bio.
That's all good. Thanks, Matthew. I appreciate the intro, and good morning to everyone. We're going to do a little bit of work here today. So if you're used to Zoom, we're going to play around with some other little areas here. But what we're talking about today is a little bit about the power of purpose. And no, I'm not just going to give you a bunch of slides and quoting statistics about if you have a purpose, you are a better company and those type of things. But I do think that creating a purpose allows us to align and always has like a North Star or a guidepost or a commander's intent. And I put up, I'm a sci-fi kind of person. I love science fiction. I think it articulates the very most fervent hopes of mankind and also our greatest fears, right? Like, oh my gosh, they're aliens. We're not alone in the universe. And oh my gosh, they're here to kill us. So sci-fi, I love Star Trek, and I have the mission statement or the purpose statement for Star Trek. right? To explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Remember that as a kid's growing up, and it kind of guides them. So we're going to talk a little bit about purpose today. Okay, we're on Zoom. Yes, I know. So one, video is great, not for me, but for each other. The best view, top right, is side-by-side speaker. If you'd like to rename yourself, it's the top right-hand corner of your frame. There'll be 3 dots. You can just click rename, call yourself whatever you'd like, and maybe even name and company so everybody can see where you're calling in from. When you do send chat comments, I appreciate a lot of chat. Just send it to everyone. You'll see a little drop-down menu because you just send it to me. No one else sees what you're talking about. You can submit questions, comments at any time. You can come off mute if you want. And I was planning on putting us into small group breakout rooms, if that's okay. With you all. And you can let me know if you don't want to be in one, and I won't put you in one, but I figured you have a chance to talk to each other a little bit. As mentioned, my name is Matt Wyatt. We wrote the book, Everybody Matters. That's enough on that. I'm from Chapman & Co. We do a lot of work on leadership development, employee training, so like DEI training. I put a great TED Talk into the chat room if you'd like to watch that later on by one of our partners. We also do a lot of work in the customer side. So my customer experience is not likely to exceed my employee experience. So we do a lot of loyalty programs that link the two. And what I'm going to talk to you about a little bit, though, is at the bottom here. We do a lot of work in basically culture, whether that's assessments or whether in this case, it's how do we have a purpose, values, mission, vision, and all that kind of good stuff. And some of our toughest business challenges, I think, that we found, especially during the last year in COVID, have been people issues. And don't worry, I'm going to show you all these slides later. I'll send them over so you all can put them out. But we hear a lot of these issues, and these are the problems that we solve. As I mentioned, I'll give you all the slides, I'll give you all the polling results. We'll send them over to TSMA and they can share that with everyone, and you guys can use it as you see fit, to include, I think, the recording as well. Just so you realize, I do have a background in the US military. I've been running this consultancy. I co-founded it for about the last 6-7 years. So I work with everything from large airlines to manufacturing firms. But we started this company underneath our parent company, Barry Waymiller. So we're in manufacturing. We're a capital goods. So anything you find in a grocery store, we've probably made something that packaged it, conveyed it, labeled it, pasteurized it, capped it, those type of things. You can see our size of our organization. We're about 118 different acquisitions. And we had a lot of attention on us because of how we were working with said acquired companies and brought them into our fold. I put the financials just down there on the right-hand side. This is not about choosing whether I want a great company for people or a great company for business. We look at these things as one driving the other. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of the content. First of all, I'd like you, if you were here early, we were playing around with this program. If you're here just now, here's how this is going to go. I'd like you to open up a browser on your smartphone or your computer, a separate browser on your smartphone or computer. And I'd like you to go to menti.com. I'm going to put this in chat as well. And I'd like you to enter this code. I'm going to bring the code up right here. The code is 1575-5385. I'm going to put that in chat as well. So the code is 1575-5385. Everything that you put into Mentimeter is completely 100% anonymous and confidential. So no one knows that you put in John Denver. That was me because my parents subjected me to a lot of folk music. So Kingston Trio, all that kind of good stuff. I'm asking a really easy question this morning to start us off with. What music, band, or artist did you grow up listening to? And if you can't put it into Menti, put it in a chat. One of us will put it in there for you, but it's better if you're in the system because we have about 100 and something people on the call. We can instantly see what everyone's thinking. So I know I'm asking kind of a silly question here. I asked this because this is like a self-hack. If I want to put myself in a good mood, studies show listening to the music you grew up listening to puts you in a good mood. I like that somebody just put in Hootie. They're like, I don't care about the Blowfish. I'm just putting in Hootie because he was the best out of them all. All right. And whoever put in Eagles, I think that's the greatest selling album, or the Eagles' greatest hits 1 and 2, even more than like Michael Jackson's Thriller and all that kind of good stuff. I also like to ask this question because it allows me to build a more robust playlist. So there you go. All right, here we go. Let's get into more questions that are a little bit more, let's say, on topic, shall we? Tell me what's an organization that inspires you? Just first gut reaction. You can put as many in as you want. What's an organization that inspires you? Okay, Google, what else? Take any of them. Okay, Barry Waymiller, thank you. That's how you get 20 bucks. Okay, Cintas, good. What else? Okay, Lippert, great. Amazon, okay. Anybody want to put in, SpaceX, good one. Yep, from Elon Musk. Anybody want to put into chat or come off mute? Why are these companies inspiring to you? Shriners, got it. U.S. Army, okay. United Nations. Anyone who hires disabilities. Okay, great. And if you could, make sure when you're putting in chat, if you could make the chat go to everyone in the meeting, just makes it easier for everyone to see what we're all talking about here. So why? What other things inspire you about these companies? Easter Seals, John Maxwell, Fold of Honors, got it. Chick-fil-A. What's inspiring about these companies? Any commonalities here? American Cancer Society, eBay.
I'll come off chat for a minute.
Sure.
Every one of these companies has a story beyond what they're making or doing that I know.
They do, don't they? Yep, they sure do. Yes, they do. Very good. All right, great. Appreciate you doing this. And I'll download, as mentioned, all of this and send it over to you. How about the next question that's a little on topic as well with purpose? How has your organization, and this is fine if it hasn't, but I'm just asking, how has your organization used its purpose in the last 12 months? How has your organization used its purpose in the last 12 months? And I know this is going to take a second because you can type in a sentence if you'd like, but we're going to see it scrolling. Part of this is not feedback to me. This is feedback to you all. So what have you done and what have you done in your company so that you can share with everyone else here? Okay, no layoffs, great one. Oh yeah, family life, COVID balance. It's a great one as well. Like a focus on people here. Retain the workforce, help the community, okay? Help companies financial maneuver through the pandemic, okay? Help nonprofits with low cost and free signage. They can focus on their missions. Really nice. Save mankind by developing and delivering life-saving medications. Yeah, that's great. Barry Wehmiller makes the machines that make the N95 mask, and they make the some of the machines that actually put the vaccine into all the vials and that kind of good stuff. Provided product needed during COVID, donations for PPE, great one. Yep, essential employees. Like a lot of you would say, oh, did we use our purpose to think about making it really safe for employees to come back? That's great. Education and training continued. Nice. In other words, I didn't pause for those type of things. Okay, we'll come back to that program. These are really good ones, putting safety first. When we're on the topic of purpose, I love the quote. I know this is a little soft. You got to bear with me. I love the quote by Alice in Wonderland. Alice walks up to the Cheshire Cat, and there's all these roads that she can take. And she says, hey, which way should I go? And the cat says, well, it depends on where you want to go. And Alice says, well, I don't care. I just don't want to be here. And the cat famously says, well, then if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. Right. And so purpose allows us to align a little bit more on where we are going. We're going to talk about leveraging inspiration, the case for purpose, defining it, building it, and using it. This is my quick agenda slide for those of you that like to know where are we going. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about, and we talked about what's an organization inspires us, and Tara came up and said, yeah, it's an organization that does something besides what they just make. All right, well, the actual definition of a very often overused word, inspire, literally means to fill someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something. I love the Latin, like to breathe life into. This is intrinsic. Motivation is extrinsic. I'm trying to force someone to do something or get someone to do something. Inspiration is I want to do it. I will spend my discretionary effort doing this. All right, so let's make this more personal. I want you to think of a single word, just a single word that inspires you. Don't put it into chat. You don't need to do anything with it. I'd like you to write it down, text it to yourself, put it in an email. What's a single word that inspires you? And I'd like you to go with your gut reaction. What's the first word that comes to mind? First word that comes to mind, a word that inspires you. After you have that word, I'd like you to think of a single story, one single story that articulates why did you choose the word that you did. All right, so I'm going to give you an example. My word that inspires me is tomorrow. I spent a good deal of a couple of years of my life living in West Africa, in Liberia. I was working for the United Nations as a peacekeeper over there, and we were trying to stop the civil war that was going on. And I spent time in the internal displaced people camps, IDP camps, and they were for the people that were trying to flee the war-torn areas and the fighting that was going on. So by day, I was running patrols and we were taking weapons away and all that stuff. But then during the evening times, I would go to these camps where typically families were. And the universal language, right, is music or sports. And so I'd bring a soccer ball and I would be playing with these kids and I would hear these kids talking about tomorrow. And this was a generational issues that we were trying to restart this nation. There was no sewer, no water, no electricity, no trash pickup. I mean, this country needed an entirely control, alt, delete, reboot. And these kids were talking about tomorrow because for them, tomorrow is where hope existed. Tomorrow was the playground for betterment. And it always inspired me listening to them talk about tomorrow. So that's my story, and that is my word. All right, so what I'd like you to do is we're going to have you all share in the exact kind of same way. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. There's going to be about 5 of you per room. You'll be auto assigned. I'll take care of everything. When you get in there, I'd like you to just introduce yourself. Hey, here's my name. And then first concert. Who was it and where? So, hey, my name is Matt. My first concert was John Denver in Irvine Amphitheater, Southern California. All right. If you don't mind, if you'd like to come off of mute, turn on your video. If you don't want to be in a breakout room, you can just go in there quiet, or you can come right back to the main room and chat with me, or just hold on. We have a great program, so don't bolt on me just because I'm putting you in a breakout room. Okay, just about 8 minutes in duration. That'll be it. And then we'll bring you back. Any questions before I launch you off into this? No questions heard. Off you go. See you back in 8 minutes. And if you're with me here in the main room, if you want to be in the main room, that's great. No problems at all. If you'd like to go in the breakout room, I think I have all of you assigned to one. You can just click at the very bottom, breakout rooms, and just click join. But you're also more than welcome to hang out here with me in the main room as well. Hi, Vicky. I just saw your thing in chat. Yeah, I just put them into a breakout room. And for those of you in the main room, we have just about two. And for those of you in the main room with me, we got about 2 minutes remaining for that breakout, and then we'll bring everyone back and keep going.
Bye.
Welcome back, friends. We're just bringing everyone back to the main room right now. I apologize if I cut you off in mid-sentence. Just a couple more seconds here. I think we've got most people back now. We lost a few of you for the breakout room, which is expected. I apologize. I know sometimes people are like, I just wanted a podcast. Instead, you put me in to talk to people. Hey, do me a favor. Can we go back over into Mentimeter? It's the same exact code. You should have stayed logged in. And can you just put, what was the word you chose? The bottom right-hand side there, the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the number of people that are in this system. So we have about just under 100 people on this call. Let's see what you put. What's the word that you chose that inspires you? And the more people that are in this system, the better. If for some reason you cannot get into it, you can put it into chat and I'll put it in there for you. Menti.com, the code is right there at the top of the screen, 1575-5385. Everything you're putting in is anonymous and confidential. It's always great to see what did everyone just put in here. As that's going up, I'm going to put some information about me in the chat there. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. I put my email, and we have a lot of free resources on our website that I just put in. Okay, we've got about, let's see, about 2/3 of you in on this. So let's look at this cloud that we're building here. Family, hope, consistency, God, belief, encouragement, passion, respect, love, faith, maybe even failure, trust, leadership, positive, energy, happiness. What do we take from this? Anybody want to come off of mute or put into chat? What's interesting to you about this word cloud we just built? What do you got?
I use teach. I work for the Arc of Evansville.
Okay.
So I spend the majority of my time helping people learn what they can do instead of being stuck in what they can't do. So I do a lot of teaching.
Great, thank you. And so what do we take from this cloud though? Like we just built this. What's interesting to you about this, or what do you notice about it?
It is all internal to each individual. It looks like it's an individual thing.
Okay, it's very individual. Yep. What else? Maybe if I ask this, what's missing? I don't know, Matt, what do you see that's missing? Well, I probably ran this exercise. This content lives with other organizations that license it, and we've done this. So this exercise I just put you through, we probably ran this just over 100,000 different leaders. You know what's missing? Money. market share, EBITDA, rev, bottom line. Not that these things aren't important. It's like the dashboard of a car. That's the health of a business. I need to measure those things. Sometimes we confuse those type of things that will inspire other people. We want to be the biggest company. We want to be the best company. You notice none of that's up here. What's up here is what, and I ran this with you all, it's the same. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. It doesn't matter what generation I'm talking to, what gender I'm talking to, what sexual orientation, what industry, it does not matter. The cloud always comes up exactly the same. Care, love, faith, family, all of those things are usually passion, challenge, are usually the ones that come up at the very top. What doesn't come up is cash. Every once in a while, probably less than 1% of the time, someone will put something like money or cash or whatever. And if I'm running this in person, I'll just ask the person and say, well, hey, well, how come you put that in? And almost 100% of that time, the person will start by saying, well, we didn't have a lot of it growing up. And I'll be damned if I'm going to have something, my family, to want for something now. So in other words, and then they'll start talking about what it is, because the money isn't inspirational to them. What is inspirational is the safety, the opportunity that money provides. Chris Rock, the famous comedian, once said, well, man, being rich isn't about having a lot of cash. Being rich is about having a lot of options. What's interesting is, and as we get into this, a purpose can be very inspirational when done correctly. Good purpose statements talk about people serving people. This is what you put in here. This is what the stories that you told. Probably very few of you told a story about you triumphing alone. You probably told stories as a person who came off of mute and started talking about, I put teach because this is what I do. Love, family, all of these things require people serving people. Okay, enough on this. Let me bring this back. And so wait, just the takeaway here is, if I'm going to try and inspire my people with purpose, making sure that I think about how it links back to people serving people. Let me show you how, in this case, I'm going to show you how two companies went to market using purpose and using inspiration. All right. I'm going to talk about toys. Both of these advertisements were shot in 2013. One was by, at the time, the largest toy manufacturer in the world. It's 2013. And they said, our whole purpose, our whole inspiration is we want to be the world's premier toy supplier. So no matter what country you're in, you want to buy one of our toys. They own stuff like Barbie and Hot Wheels and Transformers and those type of things. It's Mattel. Right. The second toy company I'm going to show you a video of, also shot in 2013. I think it was their first time coming back in like 30 years to do a television advert. This company they start from a purpose statement of, our whole reason for being in business is to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. And if you don't know what kind of company I'm talking about, when you step on the little pieces of their toys at night in bare feet, you cuss at them. Right? The company's called Lego. It means play well, two Danish words that were combined. Right? So I'm going to show you both these advertisements, and I just want you to focus on how it makes you feel. So the first one here, this is Mattel.
Barbie! I just moved into my newest, biggest dream house ever. Open it up. It's huge. 3 floors. Life in the dream house. An amazing kitchen. Let's have dinner, turkey, and dessert. A pink elevator. The ultimate Barbie closet. A second elevator just for fashion. 2 elevators plus a musical shower. Life in the dream house. Dream house playset, adults assembled, batteries not included, dolls sold separately.
I really know an audience, right? All right, what do we think? How did it make you feel? Besides, I saw some of you were like, a musical shower. That's a darn good idea. Besides that, how did it make you feel? You can put it in chat. Okay, you want that. Okay, so some people are like, oh, it's great. I love it. What else? I need it in chat. Put it in chat. What do you guys got? How did it make you feel? First gut reaction, I'll take anything. Like a child again, okay. Okay, good. Jamie, you're like, I felt nothing. Good. What else? What else? You can come off mute if you'd like as well. Anxiety for what's to come for my 2-year-old daughter. Yeah, Josh, thank you. Fake. Instagram explanation. I need a bigger closet. Yeah, it's more stuff. So glad my girls are past that stage. Cheap. Okay. What else we got? These are all kind of common things I would get from an audience. Glad I have boys. Fine. Excess culture. Yes. Money's important. Not much interaction needed. It did so on its own. Yes. If I run this in an international audience and I'll ask them, how did it make you feel? On occasion, people will say, it feels very American. Like it's loud, it's in your face, it's pink, there's motion, and it's extravagant. Thank you, Vanessa. Unrealistic. Unrealistic. And we're probably thinking about this like, hold on. This is the image of success that I want for a young person, like 2 elevators. And just to say this, for some people, they might look at this and say, and this would be me as well, I would look at this and say, my gosh, this is like sexist. There's a bunch of women running around screaming, baking turkeys. Like Ken's on the couch somewhere watching Sports Center. This wasn't made in the 50s. This was 2013. So for some people, they view this and it's like the feeling is what you had there. A lot of overwhelming status. This is what happens. I mean, this is just based on product. All right, I'm going to show you the second ad. This is from Lego. And if you're multitasking, you want to pause because you'll love this one. Here we go.
We are a team bound by blood, Nan's knitwear, and our own imagination. A team that shares our resources and pools our talent, where we each bring something different to the table. We don't see eye to eye on everything, like bedtimes and Brussels sprouts. But when we're in the game, we're in the zone, because the things we build together live forever. We conceive the inconceivable, bridge the unbridgeable. And when we've built as far as we can fathom, I see a guy who will always go that extra brick. With me, let's build.
All right, you can put in a chat. When I see this video, I think to myself, I have 2 young boys, 10 and 12, and I think, oh, Matt, you are a shitty parent. That's what I think. All right, now before, and as I'm asking you how to feel, I want to see in the chat. Yeah, thank you. And I know that I showed you 2 ads that go along stereotypical gender lines. Lego does have a similar ad that shows a little girl. However, it's so abstract, it doesn't bring home the teaching point that I'm trying to convey. So I know I showed boys playing Legos and girls with Barbie dolls. That's not the point. The point was, how do these ads make us feel? Right. And so you start talking about great dad, inspired, I need to build more Legos with my boys, like literally. And I understand, right? Let's be very honest here. Lego is trying to get you to spend money. They're trying to get you to buy their product. What they did, though, is they used this against you. They never said it was a dad and a kid. They never talked about anything. They just showed 2 people interacting. And did you notice when they're building a creation, the script says the things we build together live forever, right as the creation is breaking and crashing. In other words, they're trying to tell you they're not playing with Legos. They're not building Legos. They're building a relationship, family, love, hope, future, right? Winning, all of those type of things. They used this against you. They pulled on your heartstrings, and it works. So how do I bring this back then into a more business setting? Well, this look from a Richard Branson, right? Very successful entrepreneur. And when he was asked, he's like, oh, the ability to inspire is the most important leadership skill. There's also there's some great studies that we're doing. We've done some work with Dov Seidman and his group, and they found, and I won't read all of this, but basically that if I can get people to be inspired, and having a purpose done right helps with that. It's about 1/3 more predictive than engagement. Engagement tells me who's doing the work. Inspiration tells me who wants to do the work, who wants to lean in, who's proud of their organization and how it exists in the world. So how do we use this part of it? One of the landmark cases of purpose was Sir Ernest Shackleton when he was going to the pole. And he literally put this ad in the London Times, men wanted for hazardous journey. Think about this. He literally is saying small wages, bitter cold, long months, complete darkness, constant danger. This is the greatest line. Safe return, doubtful. In other words, you're probably going to die. And yet honor and recognition in case of success. Didn't talk about money. Afterwards, they asked him, the London Times, and he said, oh, after the advert, it would seem that all the men of Great Britain were destined to join me on this voyage. Such was the outpouring of support and desire to be with us on this journey. This is what a very well-crafted and well-intentioned inspirational purpose statement has. But what if you don't have an inspiring product or service? Barry Wehmiller makes the machines that make toilet paper. And recently, maybe that is a little bit more inspirational, but overall, they're just machines. As my CEO, Bob Chapman, would say, he's not going to go to his grave thinking about all the machines he built. He's going to go to his grave thinking about how we touch the lives of people. So Barry Waymiller, we had the fortune of not having a real inspirational product or service. We made success by the way we touch the lives of people. It's literally why we launched the Leadership Institute, made a decision based on that. It also kind of shapes the way we think about different things like our safety program. When we bring together a cross section to kind of, what's the purpose of our safety program? Is the goal to reduce lost time accidents? That's the result. The goal is to send our friends safe to their loved ones. Why? Because I'm trying to use this again, right? Exactly what you gave me on this, like what inspires us. I'm going to talk about our safety program is not just so that we keep our machines running. It's not just so that we don't have incidents or insurance claims. It is literally so that we send people home safe. I'm going to show you a way that we share some of our orders in our manufacturing. You don't have to read this. I know it's an eye chart. Basically, if I have to make a machine, here's how we would share an order. It's the usual stuff. What are the steps? What's the product sheet that I need you to build? These days, if you come to one of our facilities and we're building a machine, this is what will be on the front placard. Something like this. You don't have to read this either. I'll just explain it really quick. This was for a fruit packaging machine that we were building. It was going to Nicaragua. It was going to a family business. And so what you see is you see a little bit about the person who's buying it, the company. You see a little bit about why it's key to our success, why this is going to be influence our customer trust, and what the client expects. And so what I'm trying to do is I know it's a machine I'm building, but again, I'm trying to use this. I'm trying to link people with people. In between that, the product or service I'm giving in this case is a fruit packaging machine that's going to bring that kind of fruit to that company. The first one, I think, in that area of Nicaragua. But I'm trying to link it back and be inspirational. So I take things that seem cold and callous and are steel and metal and such, and I make it a little more human because I want people to lean in on it. It's example purpose statements that are really good. To refresh the world and inspire moments of optimism and happiness is Coca-Cola. You see Microsoft's there. We did these two. I worked with American Airlines, and this is their new purpose statement. Been working with this. COVID just hit when this happened. It's made a lot of interesting decisions on to care for people on life's journey. I know someone wants to tell me right now about a terrible experience they had on American Airlines. I know, they're working on it. Hunter Engineering is a great local St. Louis company. This is one we did for them as well, to align people and innovation to drive excellence. I love the alliteration in there. They're a company that makes all of the products you might see in a car dealer or manufacturing set. They do all the tire balancers, tire changers, and those type of things. So just some examples here. There's also a little bit of a business hook. So I mentioned I showed you Lego and I showed you Mattel. Like Mattel was all about just being big. Lego was about doing something a little more substantial, right? To inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. So there's a business impact to this. You see Adidas have always been in kind of this lane, and Nike, even starting back in 1972, I believe, started with this, right? And their whole thing was, if you have a body, you're an athlete. Bring inspiration, innovation to every athlete in the world. We lived in and out. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about how we define it, build it, and use it. I know there's a lot going on, and I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we'll put you in another breakout. There's a lot of talk about all these terminologies, so I'm just going to define them for you. A vision. A vision might be a compelling picture of the world as you imagine it to be in the future. I probably never reach there. This is what I'm hunting for. The purpose is the reason we exist. Values are how we behave to all stakeholders, not to customers, to everyone. And this is what I build a leadership curriculum around. This is how we say we're all going to behave so that we live out our purpose and we make advances on our vision. The mission is what I do, how I serve them. And then my goals, those might be, this is our strategic planning framework. My goals might be 3 to 5 goals of a vivid description of the organization in 5 years. My strategies, I bring down and say, this is how I'm going to break through this single first year. And then my key initiatives are, what are those projects I have to do? Now, interestingly enough, my vision, my purpose, my values, those should be indefinite, enduring. Like I don't need to refresh them. I don't need to go look at them. Those should stay all the way they are. My mission definitely evolves. My mission was not online. It was not Zoom stuff before COVID hit. We were an in-person, high-end consultancy traveling around the world. COVID kind of makes people frown on large number of people in same rooms. Goals 3 to 5 years, strategies 1 year, and we do most key initiatives for less than 6 months. So quick definition there. So as an example for Chapman & Co., this is our vision, our purpose. We're constantly talking about the purpose, and then our values. seek to understand, show up to serve, make it better. Something people can remember, they can recite, very quick, very easy. I'm also trying to get into a little bit about, well, can I get you to compel action with this? All right, so if I think about a standard 2x2, is it confusing or inspiring? Is it remembered or forgotten? I'm trying to get it to where I can remember the purpose statement. It inspires me. I believe in it strongly. And it's remembered, which means it has to be a little bit simple. So I'm going to hold the room quiet for a second, maybe just really quickly here, just a reflection of your own organization's purpose or whatever you have written down. If you want to call it vision or mission, whatever that might be, does it inspire and compel action, or is it confusing and forgotten? So as you do that, I'm going to move us back over into Mentimeter. Why don't we just take a quick poll? Your organization's purpose. Again, everything you're putting in Mentimeter is anonymous and confidential. Let's just get a lay of the land really quickly here. Would you say it lives, it's non-existent? Maybe we just haven't created it. We haven't thought about it. It lives only on our website. It's confusing and forgotten. Might be too many words. And fine, wherever you want to be on this, let's just take a lay of the land here with everyone that we have on the call. We'll get into how do we use it, because I'm going to basically solve for this as you give this back to me. Okay, so a lot of you, and the majority of you, let's see, about 45, so about half of you inspires and compels action. A couple folks say, yeah, we don't have one. Yeah, I would offer as you go into organizations that lives only on our website is a prevalent area that I see with a lot of organizations. Typically, senior leaders will rate this higher. The deeper in an organization I'll get, the less the inspires and compels action seems to come out. I get more on the lives on our website kind of, I'm not sure if it's around. Again, great questions to ask, right? Your team though. Hey, how would you orient to this one? Okay, so let's talk about then how we build it. Organization, I'm gonna go really quickly through this because I want to spend the rest of the time on how do you actually use it, deploy it, if you will. Great purpose statements. Yes, they're inspirational. It's you on your best day. They're also aspirational. Can we have our best day more often? So it sits as a North Star, a commander's intent, if I were using military language, like with all else fails, here's what we're supposed to be doing. Do these decisions make sense on that? The way that we do it in Chapman & Co. is I like making an experience and I like bringing it up. It's more of a discovery, like it already exists. And I'm just going to mine and distill it out of what your best days were versus I'm just going to get in with a bunch of C-suite and some marketing groups and just make some really great words up. All right. So discovery versus invention. What makes a great purpose statement? One, it's very simple and clear. Free of what's. In other words, I'm not going to talk about products within the purpose statement because I want to be beyond that. Tara mentioned about what's the commonality of all the organizations that inspire you. They do something beyond the product or service. And I need people thinking mentally about that. What's the contribution we have in the world? It's always about what are we doing to better something. It's in service to people. Again, that inspire word activity. And does it feel right to you all? This is where Hunter about like driving excellence and they're in the car business was a great one for them. I won't go too far into this one. Typically, what we'll do is we'll bring a cross section of the organization together. So as an example, when I worked with American Airlines, there are 130,000 people. We distilled that down to about 150 people, but I had constituencies from each one, from pilots, mechanics, accounting, marketing, analytics, all of those things. And we're gathering individual stories. We're sharing those stories in small groups, like who are you on your best day? I'm finding the core through the thread through all of this, and then we're discussing and deciding in the full team. I know it sounds very simplistic. The great part about this is I can link it back to stories though, so that when I'm giving it back to the organization, I can say, this is not just a statement on our website. Let me tell you all the decisions we made. Let me tell you stories about where we lived this out. And by the way, then I'm going to find stories about where do we have some gaps in this. So how do we use this one? I'm going to put us in another breakout in a second here, but I'm going to give you all this problem, okay? This problem set. Collectively, so I'm going to put the breakout rooms, about 5 of you per breakout room again. And I want to say collectively, you are the coach of a youth sports team. So whatever that breakout is, all of you are the coach of a youth sports team. All right, your team has done very well this year. They've won local and regional championships. They've advanced to the national competition. And the invitation to nationals includes an all expense paid trip to Disney World, as well as new team uniforms. Obviously, the kids are ecstatic, Okay. Now the dilemma here though is that, well, you don't get to take them all. So the dilemma is there are 15 kids in your team, but only 12 get to travel and participate on the national team. All right, now as a coach, I need you to decide which 3 kids do not get to travel or participate. I need to know how are you going to go about making your decision. So a few caveats here. You can't raise money. You can't ask for volunteers. That's too easy. All the kids want to go. All the kids can go. Everyone's Outlook calendar is free. You can't injure the kids in your selection process. If you do, that's on you. Nothing, I want you to hear this, nothing you can do is going to change the fact that 3 kids are not going to go. I need to know, how would you make a decision on choosing which 3 don't get to go? And you can take whatever language you want here, which 3 don't get to go, or which 3 do, or I'm sorry, which 12 do. All right, I'm going to put into chat really quickly here. Those directions. There we go. Okay, so again, 15 kids, you need to select and figure out which ones don't get to go. Okay, I'm going to do this for about 8 minutes. That's your breakout room, and we're all set. So when you introduce yourself, maybe just, hey, your name and what's an occupation of a grandparent you had. So as an example, my name is Matt. My grandfather, my father's side, was an ice delivery man in Los Angeles, delivered blocks of ice into people's ice boxes. All right, over to you all. We'll come back and we'll chat about this. Here we go. Hey, if you're with me in the main room, I just have a couple more minutes left for the breakout rooms. They're debating this discussion, then we'll bring it back and wrap this whole thing up. And if you've rejoined me a little bit early in the main room here, if you want to go over to Mentimeter and just let me know, how did you, let's see how everybody made their decision. Same one, menti.com codes right there at the top. How did you make your decision? I'll have everyone else back in about 60 seconds here. Even if you weren't in a group, individually, how would you make this decision? Dorothy Agayo, I apologize. I didn't get your message until I had already clicked send. So
that's okay. I actually got it taken care of after I sent that message to you anyway.
Great. Okay. Hey, I'm bringing everyone back from the main room here into the main room. Hey, can you just put into chat, how would you make that decision? You're all in business, make decisions all the time. How would we make a decision as simple as this one? 15 kids, 12 get to go. What am I making a decision based on? We're over in Mentimeter. If you're just joining us back in the main room here, same code, same website, you should stay logged in. Tell me, how did you make the decision? And if you were not in a group or you didn't participate in a breakout room, just put in there what you would do individually. Okay, I see you have a playoff against the teammates. Let the players make the decision with some guidance. Take those who would learn the most. That's interesting. Not the best players, but those who would learn the most. And yeah, I'll take it in a chat too, if you will. But I really like, if you don't mind, if you put it in Mentimeter, everyone can see it instantly. So if you can, it'd be great. Okay. Okay, the entire team can't participate. Nobody will. Okay, interesting. That's a great one. So that's like the three musketeers, right? All in or no one goes. Okay. Okay, what was the attitude? That's great. They all go or don't go. Is there a skills competition? You got to play your way in, like, okay, a little bit like Hunger Games. Grab your bow, Katniss, here we go. Got it. Okay, some tryouts. Best work ethic, that's interesting, right? So now I'm thinking about who actually showed up at practice. Here's a great one, best grades in the report card. So now I'm going to tie it into academics even. I know some of you wanted to say, I'm going to choose whoever's parents I have just been a pain in my back and their kid's not going to go. Like, here's the chance I have to get back at him. Okay, or the coach just decides. Fine. And for some of you who said, no, the kids should decide. Look, here's the point. And kids deciding is great unless they're 5-year-old boys, because you know what 5-year-old boys vote for on a soccer team or whatever game we're talking about? They vote for pizza. They don't care, right? It makes no sense that they're 5 years old. If they're 14, it makes sense, but you didn't ask me that. You're just like, okay, well, how do we make the decision? All right, a lot on attitude. The point here is not that one of these answers is correct and one of them is not. The point here is, in the absence of having some type of grounded purpose about what are we doing, you get this. You get this scatter shot. And you think, well, what relevance does that have in my business? All right, well, if I have a project, what's the most important thing? Is it quality? Is it safety? Is it timeliness of the schedule? Is it profitability? Safety is number one. Okay, well, then what's number two? The schedule or quality? If we don't have that, it makes it, this is why we have this scatter shot. You might imagine if we had said something like, hey, on this team, it's all about character development. Here's what we believe in, and here's how we're going to decide who plays and who doesn't. Or if you had, conversely, if you had a statement that said, on this team, we're about winning. This is a club team. This is about skills development. The best players get on the team. Very different, right? And it would depend on that. So really what I'm talking about is how we make decisions. So back over to you. Let me just, this one actually does have a correct answer. So in Mentimeter, about 80% of business leaders believe that an organization's purpose is literally central to success. What percent admitted that it is not used as a guidepost in their own business for decision-making? What do we think that is? Is it 18, 28, 48, or 68%? So almost all of them admit, hey, it's really important for our business, but what percentage also admitted that we don't use it as a guidepost for making decisions? I know we don't have a lot of votes in here yet, but I will tell you, I'll just mention this. I'll show you the answer is, that correct answer is 68%. And this is where I see if I want my purpose statement to live somewhere beyond just on my website, I literally have to use it as a decision making. Because what just happened in this really silly kid event that I gave you, like you're a youth sports team, what happened is this. Typically in decision making, whether it's in the military, whether it's in industry, whether it's nonprofit, I want a certain result. And so I take an action to get that result. I know this is simplistic, but stay with me here. In the example I gave you with the sports team, if you wanted the kids to win, you probably said the action you took was, well, I want a skills competition, or I'm taking the best team. I need some leaders, I need some veterans, and then I need the kids that are playing, whatever sport it might be. That's the result I want, is winning. If the result I want is, let's call it empowerment of kids, then I might say, well, actually, we're going to give the kids a system, and they're going to make a decision about how they decide. I literally want the children to kind of empower and lean into how they make decisions. If the result I wanted was character development, right? I just want the kids to go through this. I might link in, the action I might take is, I'm going to see who showed up at practice, who had the hard work ethic. The reason I mention it is we stay in this loop between action and result, and it's seen, it's heard, we talk about it, but what we don't give out is, what's the perception I'm making? In other words, if my perception of the youth sports team is, we are here to win. Why do we keep a score if it's not to win? Someone else's perception is, wait a second, it's youth sports. Like, I don't want my kid to sit on the bench all year and never play and the team to win every game. I want my child to learn how to work with other people, how to develop their skills. Totally different. And the way I inoculate against all these multiple perceptions is by having a clear and compelling sense of purpose. This is how it actually leads into decision making. And your organization, I'm a kid from the 80s, so your organization is a little like Voltron. And for those of you who don't know who Voltron was, one, you need to watch some of the old television shows. Voltron was basically like 5 robot lions. I can't believe I'm actually taking this seriously. 5 robot lions that come together as one defender of the universe. But the point is, like, the organization is made up of a bunch of robot lions. Here's engineering, here's sales, here's IT, here's marketing. All of those have their own unique culture, but it can be aligned by having this shared sense of purpose. Let me show you 2 examples. Yeah, thanks, Voltron. Let me show you 2 examples of companies that use this to make decisions. So CVS, they literally said, we help people on their path to better health. This was years ago. And yet at the same time, CVS was selling cigarettes. Now, I'm not shaming tobacco companies. I'm not here to do that. I'm just mentioning a decision that they made. So CVS said, if that's our purpose statement, then not only should we not be selling cigarettes, we should be helping people quit smoking. And so even though they got crushed for the current year in the stock market for them doing this, because it was a huge hit in sales to their top line, even though that was that, they replaced the smoking areas where they had cigarettes with all of the ways to help quit. Within 18 months, their stock price had rebounded and was increased from where it was even. Made the decision based on that statement. Another great one. I want to bring this up. This is a personal story. So my father was an airline pilot for American. I've flown Southwest a lot. I met Herb Kelleher and he and I had some conversations. If I have a purpose statement and I want it to live on the outside, it needs to live on the inside first. I mentioned we do a lot of work with customer loyalty. This is our statement, like your customer experience, customers, clients, whatever you're going to call them, your customer experience will likely not exceed your employee experience. And so for any organization we can point to and say, gosh, I get great customer service from them. I can show you a great culture that they have where they're at least trying very hard to treat their people really well. I was on a Southwest flight one time and I was after a huge gig that I was doing. I'm just exhausted and Southwest had the last flight. So I took them and I typically in these things, I don't chat it up with people around me. I just shut it down. And I walk in and I end up going all the way to the back of the airplane because I'm late for the flight or whatever. And there's a middle seat between us. And at the last minute, this one woman comes in and says, do you mind if I sit in the middle seat? And she has all these books with her. I said, no, please have a seat. So she comes in, sits down. And it was interesting. I see her open up stuff and she's got a lot of stuff about Southwest. And she's studying this. And people are coming by, the flight attendants coming by and they're chatting with her and then they're giving her some drinks. And now I'm getting drinks because I'm just sitting next to her. So I finally asked, like, hey, are you somebody important with the airline? She says, no, I'm going to training. I'm a flight attendant, but I'm going down to training. This is my first day really on the job. I go, well, do you know these other flight attendants? She goes, no, I've never met them before. I said, oh, it's so interesting. Well, they're sure treating you nice. She says, yeah. She goes, actually, I was a flight attendant for, and she listed another airline. And she says, but I'm taking this job at Southwest. And she goes, actually, I'm taking a pay cut to work here. I said, well, you seem pretty happy about giving up money. Like, why would you take a pay cut and jump in seniority to go to another airline? She goes, well, it's Southwest. I go, what's so great about Southwest? And she tells a story. She says, there was a person on the airline, on the flight, this is years ago, someone on the flight, and wrote a letter, did not have a good experience, wrote a letter to then the CEO, Gary Kelly, and said, I had a terrible experience. Here's what your pilots did. Here's what your flight attendants did. You're a horrible airline, whatever it might be. Like it was a scathing whole letter about how she did not have a good experience. And it was so well written. And so the person took the time. So they did the typical thing. They asked the flight crew that was there, hey, do you remember this person? You want to talk about what happened here? They said, oh, do we remember that? And they started talking about what this person did, how they were berating to them, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, the crew said we did everything we could. This was not a nice person. So this passenger got a response back from the CEO of Southwest Airlines. And it basically said, hey, we're sorry that our standards did not meet what you experienced. Here is a round trip ticket on another airline nationally for where you want to go for your troubles. Please never, ever fly Southwest Airlines again. And she's telling me that story, to go take a pay cut, to go work for this airline. If I want my purpose to live on the outside with my customers, I'm a customer-centric kind of organization, I have to have it live on the inside first. It literally exists as a guide for solving problems. I apply it internally and externally, and I look at it as a process, not just kind of a program, if you will. And so when I'm looking at my purpose statement, I use it in recruiting. It's the first thing I talk about if I'm putting an ad out there. I want you to know this is what we stand for. Definitely use it in onboarding. When I'm doing consulting work and I see the offer letter we put off, very rare is it that we're literally talking about, here's what we stand for. This is our purpose. This is why we're in business. We do things because I want people to feel inspired about it. Any of my training and development, I link it back to my purpose, my values. Company communications, constantly. It's like the drum beat. It's like it's the background vocals. It's the drum. In every song we play, you're going to hear about the purpose, why we do this. And I'm constantly running focus groups. Where do we live it well? And where do we fail to live up to it? Because those are the gaps I'm looking for. Again, I'm trying to make this very, very human. A couple of the ways you can very easy, some tactical and tangible things you can do. One is for any kind of recognition, insert your values, your purpose when it actually comes in there. Think about who's a person you can recognize. Don't worry about the achievement. Just talk about who has lived out your purpose and values. One of the ways is a partner. So I have an office here in St. Louis. I have an office in Cape Town, South Africa for our consultancy. One of the ways we do this is every week or every other week, I put out an email that talks about all the things we did right. You don't need to read this message. I know it's an eye chart. The text here is not important. The key is every week when we're trying so hard and we're trying so many different things, I want the team, the organization to know, here's all the areas that we won. Here's what we did right. And in that, I get to start linking in our purpose. I get to start linking in values. So, and I do this just because I've always enjoyed writing information letters. When I was in the military, when I had a squadron command or different commands, I would do this constantly. But it's the way that I can bring back up the purpose and not use it as a stick, but use it as, this is how we won. This is how it relates to who we are, who we stand for. Easy, easy way. And if you're going to be like, well, what's one thing every organization should do, especially in the times we have been in and are going into, crank up the recognition and celebration. All right, last slides. I'm going to give you that. I'll ask it, open it up to any questions you might have. What to do and what not to do. What not to do. I would not create the purpose statement in a vacuum. And I know that typically happens with marketing and senior teams, and you bring in really high price consultants. I just wouldn't do it. I'd ask for people who have we been on our best day, and I distill it through there. You can do that on your own. You can hire someone to help you, but that's how I do that. I would definitely try and make sure you're grounding it in actual stories, not just who we want to be, but hey, here's who we were. So a lot of you, I asked the question, how have you lived out your purpose in the last 12 months? You had some really beautiful things to say there. I'd link those back in. I wouldn't just transmit it and expect people to rally around it. Typically what I see for purpose deployment is organizations will just put it out there. Here's a new purpose. I'll make some posters, whatever. I need to have focus groups and listen to what people think about it. I don't make it focus solely on a product or service. I don't think that everybody instantly gets on board with it. It's just a North Star. And 100%, the reason I ask questions like, where are we not living our purpose is, it will not fix work structure issues. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic pill. It just helps align our focus and our decisions. So the work structure issues, it just reveals those. Okay, so what do we do with it? Definitely highlight how it serves people. You saw that in the Inspire Word activity. I would definitely communicate in making any kind of decisions. I would relate it back to it. Create with a cross section, grounded in actual stories, integrated into onboarding all the way through senior leader meetings. And then of course, live it on the inside first. All right, hey, just a quick question as we end this up. I know I'm going to end on a different note here, but can anybody tell me, I'm just going to let you look at this slide here. Can anybody tell me what company they might think this is from? We're dedicated to conducting business according to all applicable local and international laws with the highest professional ethical standards. Look at the respect. We don't tolerate these kind of things. Look at integrity. Work with customers honestly, sincerely. Communication. We talk, we listen. Excellence. We are satisfied with nothing less than the very best. Anybody take a guess on what company this is? This is their purpose. This was their values. I'll take it in chat. You can come off mute. I don't care. What do you got? 90% of US companies. Yeah, probably. It's very generic, isn't it? Thanks, Casey. What else? Anybody take a guess?
Enron.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. You're exactly right. This, my friends, was Enron. If you actually look at the statements, they literally, and this, by the way, was on all of any of their facilities, any of their offices. It sat on the desks. It sat on the walls. They literally looked at if their behavior it's as if they looked at each one of the statements and did opposite of them. Every single one of them, right? And this is the quote by their CFO, right? Hey, look, it starts at the top. It doesn't stop on the top of pretty little statements. Employees see through the empty rhetoric, and a robust code of conduct can be emasculated by one action of the CEO or CFO. And he says this while serving about 5 years. So my point is this. It's not about building the statement. It's not about writing it. It isn't about the perfect words. It's about what you do with it. All right. So on that note, some action items. One, I would review it. I'd think about, is it purpose and memorable? Does it inspire? I'd ask your people at times when you have, what's the story of their best day? Reflect on some of those commonalities. You can ask the Mentimeter questions I gave you today. During the next decision, I want you to refer to it. At least when you're communicating it, I'd bring it up. And I'd look at those easy win areas, onboarding, any kind of leadership or people development you have, any kind of communications that go out. Okay, my friends. So I know we are almost at time, and I promised that we would be done by time. So we've got about 8 minutes left. Happy to take any questions you might have. I put my LinkedIn link as well as my email in the chat earlier up, so you can grab it if you'd like. But happy to pause here and answer any questions you all might have. You can come off of mute, you can put them in the chat, whatever you'd like. And while I'm waiting for somebody to ask a question, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring up our last Mentimeter. And this is not feedback to me. This is crowdsourcing again for you all. So what did you take from this session that you're going to do perhaps differently as a result of it? Again, sharing between each other, not to me. I'm just asking this question because that way you all can see what each of you took from this last fast 80 minutes here. Any questions or comments that I can answer for you all? Yeah, boy, thanks. Lead a strategy meeting differently next week that you just started up. Yeah, revise it as a group. That's a great one. When you're doing that, I'd offer, make sure you have some frontline employees. Those are the people that you want to lean in. Typically, my frontline exists and does some work with the customers in some way, shape, or form. So I'd make sure you have some. Constituency there. Yep, share more of the team's successes versus failures. The other thing that the in the week message that I showed you, the other thing it allows me to do is it allows me to thank people who are not client facing. So client facing people, typically they get to work with the clients, they get thanked by them. My infrastructure people, I'll call it, they don't get that. And so the ability for me to write about them at the end of a week or at the end of 2 weeks, it allows me to thank everyone and show what's so important on that. And if I'm asking people to run pretty hard during the week, the last thing I want them to do before when they go back to their family, friends, or their personal life is know that we did some good stuff. Advice for a mid-level manager to bring a mediocre or vague purpose to life or enhance it if they don't have the ability to change the official organization's purpose. Yeah, great one. If I don't have the ability, like I don't have the title to make all those changes that we talked about, one thing I would do is I might look at what the core of it is. I might just sit and have a conversation with the team and say, look, in my words, in my viewpoint, this is what I think this organization stands for. Here's the official mission or vision statement. Here's what it means to me. And I'd link it back to people serving people. Then I would ask questions and do a lot of listening to my team. What do we think about that? Where have we lived it? From a consultancy standpoint, the question I'd love to ask as I work with organizations I would ask people, what's the most frustrating thing in your job? What's the most frustrating thing in your job? Typically, what people will talk about is where the systems or where the structure is kind of difficult. The number one complaint I'll get when I ask that question will be, I don't have all of the information, the tools, the resources necessary to do my job easily. Humans hate on the idle time like that. It's a great question to ask people. This is great stuff. So thanks for bringing all this kind of stuff up. The other question that I would that I love to ask people in this is I would ask, what do people not know about your job but you wish they did? What do people not know about your job but you wish they did? Typically, what people will answer, it will fall into two areas. One area will be they want you to know how hard they're working. The other area will be they want you to know what impact they're having in the organization. Then I would relate it back. When they answer that, I'd relate it back to literally a little bit more on the purpose or what the organization stands for. Okay, my friends, I know we're at time. That's what I have for you. So I'm going to turn it back over to Matthew, to Dorothy, to Taryn. Thank you so much for having me. My email is up there. Let me know if I can be of assistance. It's in chat as well. But otherwise, have a great day and thanks again. Thank you, Matt. I've got a whole page full of notes, so I thought it was an outstanding presentation. I enjoyed the interactive nature of it and getting in the breakout sessions. So really well done, and hope everyone enjoyed this session. And I did want to share that as of right now, we're looking to get back together in person for our Q4 event. So more to come on that. Really excited to finally see everybody back in person. That's always our state of manufacturing event, and we'll try to have a happy hour after that so everybody can do some networking and just get together and enjoy being back together in person. So more to come on that as well. We mentioned the Q3 event at the beginning of the session. So I just want to thank all of our sponsors again. And if you want to sign up for our monthly newsletter,
be sure to let me or Dorothy know. We definitely, that's how we're sharing all things Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance. So we have an e-newsletter that goes out. Also, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. We're trying to be more active on LinkedIn and really build our community and audience there. You can see all the social media platforms we're on: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. But just encourage you guys to interact with us there. I would love to see us really build a nice, strong manufacturing community within those platforms. Thanks again to the sponsors here. And I will turn it over to Dorothy or Chanda if I've missed anything. Otherwise, we will see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. I think you've got everything this time. So if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me. I did put my email in the chat, and hope to see you at the next event. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.